Let's start right away by diving deep into hair straightening, smoothening, keratin. What's the evolution been? Everybody wants to know what are these things about. What should somebody expect when they come to the salon when they ask for a smoothing?
That's where the blue Botox also was evolved. Yes, it's blue Botox. It's blue in color, it's gel based, so it kind of goes in deeper and it's quite mild and soft on the hair.
Who have curly hair, you're so damn lucky.
That's true.
Who are in between like us.
Yeah.
We neither have the luxury of like flipping it and having straight hair. I've had both color regret and smoothing regret.
No, I was shocked when you did blue. I was like, oh my god, what are you doing?
I want to try it again sometime, but this time I'm thinking green or red.
No. There's another version where the hair makes or breaks your confidence also. So
Curly girl method, spill it.
So curly girl method, or that's what they called it. It was a whole movement where girls wanted to go back to keeping their natural texture. So we used to draw it on the mirror that time. If your hair type is like this, you're stretching it a little bit and it'll give you a wavelength. So it is never going to.
Today we're going to discuss a topic that's received a lot of attention from all of you, which is basically about hair texture, how to manage straightening, smoothening, keratin, cysteine, all the way up to nanoplastia. And to answer all of your questions, I have with me Rebecca Samuel, co-founder of Vurve. And today we're going to discuss everything that is to do with texture in Indian women. Let's go. Let's start right away by diving deep into hair straightening, smoothening, keratin. What's the evolution been? Everybody wants to know what are these things about? What happens when they actually come into your salon for one of these treatments? Break it down for us in detail. We have an excellent question on the very same thing. Tell us about how these things evolved.
Okay, so let's go to the beginning. So, from my knowledge, I believe that smoothing or rebonding started. This whole evolution started in the late 90s.
Agree. I think we just about saw the beginning of people with poker straight hair.
Yes.
And then I think it suddenly caught on everywhere.
Yes, and I was so crazy about getting my hair straightened that.
Who have nice curly hair like this.
Yeah, but back in 2002, the only thing I wanted was straight hair. So saved all my money from work and went and got my hair straightened. The procedure was pretty elongated, and
How long was it back then?
It was about 4-5 hours.
Did you have long hair?
Yes, I had long hair, and the first time it didn't come out well also, so they redid it for me because the curls came back. And yeah, but I think the whole process of how they did it was they kind of first use a product to open up your cuticles, and I didn't know the word cuticle then, but yeah, once they opened up the cuticles, they would use heat iron to iron your hair, and after that they would apply a neutralizer to kind of seal and change the structure of your existing hair, your
in
curl
the new
pattern.
straightened
Yes.
way.
So if it was curly, if it was curl type 3A, 4A, 2, 1, whatever it is, the texture would go back to poker straight. So that was what they claimed, and it all depend. It was so new at that point, and everybody wanted to get it done.
This is the hair straightening,
Rebonding, the straightening, the
that
Japanese straightening. I don't want to mention brand names, but
this is the first, the
original one from a very famous.
Ones.
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
So, but of course, it changed the whole face of
what you could do with your hair.
Yes.
Earlier than that, it used to be that people were having a particular kind of hair type, and then we had to commit to that for the rest of our lives.
Yes.
And we would identify that way.
Correct.
My first experience with anything significant with hair was in 2008 in Africa.
Okay.
There, the industry is completely different. Everybody gives so much importance to all of the braiding. It's a big activity, and if you weren't braided, it was considered that you hadn't put enough effort into your grooming.
Right.
So I had my hair like yours. I had it big and wild. I enjoyed it. I tried getting it done back when I came back to India, and it didn't work the same way. I think it's a completely different set of stuff they use.
Yes.
Now that is the perming.
That is perming, that's also braiding. They use artificial hair because generally Africans don't have that texture. They don't have that, like even however long it grows, it kind of curls and coils up. Various kinds of braids now, the authentic traditional 3 braid. Now you have the thin ones, you have natural hair, you have artificial hair, you have colored beads along with it. Yeah, they get.
It is
yeah.
an art that
Yes.
they follow, and sometimes I'm
Yes.
fascinated by how that's so individualistic to different parts of Africa.
Yes.
You can actually
See the culture and
Yeah,
their
it's
tribe.
a
Yes.
beautiful thing.
Yes.
Coming back there, we said that we probably learnt about straightening,
yes.
the rebonding in
Yes.
India in the 90s. But in the movies, say for example in Hollywood, we've always seen these pretty perms.
Yes, that's
Like you've always seen those cute curls.
Yes.
That was never a thing in India, right?
No, it was never, because we already, our Indian texture is little more thicker, coarse and resistant. So automatically, because of the coarse, resistant nature of the hair, we tend to have it gets into a wave. And unlike abroad, where the hair shaft is thinner and automatically, it becomes finer and it's a little more, relaxed. So there, they always wanted to have that dramatic curl kind of effect. For us, it started, now also you see a lot of it, but that was also done with curling rods, so there was a lot of heat applied then.
We've had the curl part of it. I've heard back in childhood, I've heard people do it before weddings with hot colors and stuff like that. That was the only thing.
Yes.
There was something that you could do for an event, but only when the straightening, the rebonding thing came, that people could do something that was like everyday stuff.
Yes.
And then came, after the straightening, after the rebonding came?
After the rebonding, people, it took a decade for people to enjoy smoothening and rebonding and whatever names that different brands call it. And then slowly people did not like the poker straight look.
Yes.
They were
especially for the transition.
Yes.
Suddenly you have curly hair and then it transitions.
Yes, because your hair that you've permanently restructured will continue to be straight, while the hair that's growing out from your roots will take the natural texture of what your genes were having. So that transition was not good.
It was off,
it was a little, kind of ugly. And for me, it was very ugly, you can imagine.
Okay. How many times, what was your journey? We spoke about the first time that you did it in the 90s?
Yes.
No,
2002, yes.
And then what was the journey, your personal journey?
My ritual was I'd do it once a year. I paid a bomb for it then, where it was my whole 1 month salary, and I paid about 8,000 rupees that time in 2002. And one of the things they did mention was home care. So I'm going to stress a little bit on the home care, and it was very expensive also to buy shampoo, and I didn't know what is conditioner at that point. I'm like, what is this? And it was 800 rupees to buy a shampoo and conditioner together. And they said, if you don't use this, your hair, they didn't tell you that it's broken, we are refixing it, you need to, infuse these products to give you that texture and to help the hair to kind of heal after this big treatment of rebonding. So I did it every year religiously, and I bought the product every 3 months. So I did about 12-14 times.
Did you enjoy it?
I enjoyed how I looked because, my husband likes the straightened look. I enjoyed it. It gave me a lot of confidence.
Grass is always greener.
Yeah, but it boosted my confidence. It kind of made me feel that I could walk out I let my hair loose, and those were the times parents won't allow you to let your hair down.
Exactly.
And
that is a revolution in itself to actually be okay with not having it tied up. And,
we come from those times.
Yeah.
It was I'm seeing this evolve, like literally I've seen it from the birth to where we are right now, back again. So it takes about quarter of a century to go back to your roots.
I have a question. Did you ever have straightening regret? Right after you did the procedure, did you long for your own curly
Never.
hair? Right?
Not even
there
once.
There are a bunch of people that, does it happen more commonly with color? That people have a color and they regret the color right after?
Could be, because you don't know what, and half of the time or majority of the time they would have liked what they did, but some friend or somebody would make a comment and say, or your father or your brother will say, not nice, and that's when they begin to doubt what they did. And
I've had both color regret and smoothening regret.
Have you? Right.
Yeah. Especially I was so inspired sitting in the chair, and I said, bring it on, give me some blonde, give me some
No, I was shocked when you did blue. I was like, oh my God, what are you doing?
I would have loved to do more of the blue. I really enjoyed it.
You enjoyed it?
I think I want to try it again sometime, but this time I'm thinking green or red.
No.
But
Maybe
I'm not-
blue, maybe just to match your tone, and
Yeah,
I
but
wouldn't
we are
say
evolving.
green. Yes.
Yeah. The second one, we spoke about rebonding. The second one, which was not as focus straight and which I really liked when I first started getting onto smoothening, is smoothening, of course.
Yes.
What is the difference in the steps of the process? Like if people had to come in for a smoothening treatment, what were the steps of the process?
So yeah, I'm not the technical expert, but for what little that I know,
What should somebody expect when they come to the salon, when they ask for a smoothening? Just like the steps of, for somebody who's just thinking about this or in the beginning of their journey exploring this.
So, a few of the things that I possibly would expect my stylist also to check and consult with the customer is, to be honest with you, they are just names of the product from two different brands. So, and they were competing with each other. So, one used the word straightening and the other used the word smoothening. Maybe the brand that used the word smoothening, it was a little milder.
Yeah.
And while the one that used the word straightening was a little more intense, it was called the Japanese straightening, like I said. So, it was a little more milder. It didn't give you that poker straight look.
It would give you that flip, some movement.
A light movement. It wasn't, everyone didn't want that poker straight look because we have thick hair. So when it's poker straight, it just looks like a flat wig. So a lot of people started, they didn't like how that ended up. So when the new brand came up with smoothening, they kind of gave it a little bit more movement, but still it was straight. There was a little more shine, but the process that happened to the hair, the disulfide bonds being broken, both did the same thing. So you break the disulfide bonds. With the help of your first process, which is your relaxant, and then you use the iron and to kind of seal it in, and then you use the neutralizer to close the and restructure the hair shaft completely to give you a straightened look or a relaxed look.
I think the perming is also a similar process, except for where we do the straightened part of it. They just set it in curls.
Yes, but it's very, 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 I would
Harsh
not,
on the hair.
very harsh, because it kind of strips off your moisture, and then when your hair stripped off the moisture, it looks dry.
Yeah.
So if you don't use styling product, which is a good investment every month, which people will not, still they are getting used to it, it will look dry and it will look more frizzy, and your cuticles are obviously opened up to give you the curl. So then yes.
Yeah, like I said, it was a world of a difference getting a perm done in Nairobi versus getting it done back here.
And you were okay with the damage?
I did not see much damage when I did it back there.
Maybe their products are a little more customized to suit their hair, because their hair is also thin.
It's very
and
fragile.
very
Curly
fragile.
hair is very fragile.
Very fragile, yes.
So I look like a completely different version, because I know for the people who have straight hair, at least they have a certain definition, the hair is straight.
Yes.
For those of you who have curly hair, you're so damn lucky.
That's true.
For people who are in between like us,
yeah,
we neither have the luxury of like flipping it and having straight hair,
yeah,
nor having the beauty of curly hair. Yeah. So we are the ones that are constantly being forced to go one way.
This way or the other, yes.
So for me, the straightening, smoothing treatments were like one end of the extreme, and the perm was a completely different way I reinvented myself. I thoroughly enjoyed that 1 year or so that I stayed with it. But yeah, but I like I said, I couldn't follow through going back to,
yes.
I mean, it's one thing to go to another town to get a hair straightening, but going back to Africa to get that perm was too much.
Yes. So. No, but there are some great guys, if you're really interested, there are some fantastic hairdressers who are particularly
good at
perming.
Because it's not a common skill.
Yes.
It's not a common skill
and
at all.
Since you know all the nuances of it, you know that you have to take care, maybe you can try it again.
I will.
Yeah.
I will prepare mentally.
Yeah.
So we did straightening and smoothening. Tell us a little bit about the next in evolution, keratin, right?
Yes.
So yes, tell us about what is the difference between these processes.
So with smoothening and rebonding, the process was to permanently change the structure of the hair to reform it from your original curl type to permanently straight. But in keratin, there is no change to your disulfide bonds. When you use heat, the product from the keratin kind of got activated, and then it binds and seals into the cuticle and fills up the space. So it was like a simple example of, I mean, we used to use it then. If your hair type was like this, we used to draw it on the mirror that time. If your hair type is like this, you're stretching it a little bit and it'll give you a wavelength. So it was never going to become straight. It was just going to weigh your hair down a bit and probably change your curl type from maybe one type to a little more relaxed type.
With a little bit flow, which made it look that much more
natural. So that gave you that blow dried look. Your ends were never straight. It had that flick in, flick out. You had a lovely volume.
Oh, yes.
Yes. So it was a game changer. And there were people flocking. And imagine at those times, only 1 or 2 salons in the city, neat city, had it. So people wanted to know more about it. They were flocking.
I think it became pretty much mainstream after a point where people realized that straightening or smoothening made it look like they have done something to themselves. But keratin made it feel like, okay, it looks naturally me.
Yes.
So that was a bigger adoption.
Correct.
And obviously, there were points which were for and against keratin. And then I think it's gone on to evolve into something else.
Correct.
So what's the next thing that came in?
So the good part about keratin, also one of the biggest advantages, was it was never changing anything internally to your hair. So it was something that would wash away with every wash. So it lasted maybe maximum for about 30 to 50 washes, depending on when you wash. And however, there were, the first levels of keratin that did come in were a little more harsher because you wanted to give some result to the hair. So it did have some chemical ingredient which was being deposited in and kind of gave you your relaxed look, but it was also a little harsh on the hair. And if it was not done well, if it was not sealed well, if your hair already was damaged before, there were a lot of other things like breakage. And though they say that keratin was not causing the breakage, but there was also something from the past which you did which aggravated because of the heat. So then keratin evolved. I think a lot of companies, not only abroad but also in India, started, how our market is, they find something new, they dig deep, they want to evolve, they want to get something out of it, something really good out of it. So coming to that, the evolution from keratin was Botox, where again a decade of keratin and people started getting bored. And they wanted something which was even more natural and little bit where they were also repairing whatever they have done over the last decade or so on this. So that's where Botox did come into play. And the claims of Botox are that they repair the hair along with lamination. It's not just keratin which laminates the hair. It doesn't matter, it gives you a straightened look, but it doesn't do anything internally to protect the hair, repair the bonds inside. So Botox came in with this, with the claim that
it was huge in the Middle East, right?
Yes.
Hair Botox was
huge.
Took off in the Middle East. I think maybe about 8-10 years ago. From then on, I've not seen any other region universally do hair Botox like it happened in the Middle East.
Thanks to you, because the whole dermatological field started talking about Botox. So then I'm sure some scientists must have.
I was feeling personally attacked.
No. In a good way. Because we call it the hair Botox, we call it the hair collagen, we call it the liquid fluid for the hair.
The Botox as such, the botulinum toxin is much more softer and much more chill.
Yes, but the principles of what it's doing, it's giving you a full look, and that's what they claim that the hair they wanted to do for the hair industry as well. And it did give a really nice, and the first for me to even trial it, I took me as the model.
Yes.
And I because I was by that time we are seeing I was already into the curly girl method, and so hair, integrity of hair, all these things started playing. When you spend time in an industry, you start thinking what good should you do, and so it's very important to choose the right product. So I did, I took this product I trialed it on my hair, and I went back from curly to straight just to see whether their claims were true or not. And and then that was how Botox came in the late 18, 19, 2020 was when it started again peaking here. Obviously, we follow what happens in the West, and that's how it trickles down to us. And Botox, their main storyline is we repair the hair shaft for the cortex at the cortex level, and that's the product that we are applying in. Again, the process is a little similar. We first clarify your hair. That means we remove all the oil or the grime that is there from your hair using a shampoo, which is 2-3 times that they wash the hair. That's the first step. Then your hair becomes a little rough, and you go sit in and you wonder what happened, because everything is removed, and it's not a healthy sight. But then that's what they want to do. They want to remove all the natural oil, dirt and grime, and then they take the product, and then there is a way to apply and emulsify the product in. Then you got to wait. And in Botox, the process is you have to neatly blow dry first. After the 20-minute or 30-minute wait time, you got to blow dry the hair to the thinnest, and make sure that the blow dry look is important, because that's where the sealing is happening. That's where the repair it's going in and sitting. And after the blow dry, so it's not like just a quick blow dry which keratin does, with a 20-minute blow dry. It's about a 45 minutes where your sectioning is thinner, so that the result and the fusion and the heat is magnified. Alignment of the cuticle matters. After that, you again iron the hair, and you again use the thinner section, so you're completely bonding the product in. It just takes maybe a little bit more time, because it does have some technical things that you got to, because it's a little sticky, it's a gel based, so then taking that time to do it, how neat are you doing it. And the finale is the good part for Botox, and of course keratin also evolved, is same day wash, which in the beginning it was you have to come back in 2 days and wash your hand. That people didn't like that. So then you can wash the product on the same day after you iron the hair, and you apply a mask, and then you go on with your life. But so Botox, the result was, because the Indian hair was a lot of wear and tear, I'll say, the Botox gave you that really nice look. So customers also felt that I don't think I'm doing any damage to my hair. There is definitely wear and tear when you're ironing and drying the hair. That's 100% going to be there. But the look, the how long it lasted, because it's again another weight to the hair. Your hair looked youthful, and same like collagen. So they say of course the products have hyaluronic and amino acids and some vitamins to make your hair look shinier, healthier.
Shinier, yes.
Which keratin did not give. It will just laminate, but it wouldn't change how it...
Glossy.
Yes.
Yeah, the glossiness is definitely
the visual appearance came from the Botox.
True. I've practically had pretty much everything.
How did you feel?
I think smoothening was my favorite because it just used to and I had really long hair at that point in time, so it made a lot of sense. Between Botox and keratin, I felt that Botox really brought out the gloss.
Right.
And you said it goes away in 30 to 50 washes.
That was keratin. But Botox lasts you longer.
I think the hair that's treated always tends to remain much more well behaved than the hair that's growing out. I've never really seen a lot of loss.
Okay.
I've like this wavy half frizz hair.
Yeah.
I've not really seen a lot of loss in the whole laminated process.
Right,
so I've been lucky that way.
Yes.
I've also been very good with leave-in serums for like a decade now. So then it helps to have that aftercare.
Yeah.
Now we have still moved on.
Yes.
We have still moved on from Botox to now multiple forms like Botoplex, Botolis, Cysteine, a bunch of them. And going in at the ingredients level, almost all of these versions, say Hair Botox, Cysteine, all of them have some levels of carbocysteine complex with glyoxylic acid.
Right.
So glyoxyl carbocysteine is typically used in various concentrations.
Yes.
Sometimes you see the carbocysteine up there as the second or third ingredient.
Yes.
But other times it's much lower down. So within this also, the amount of carbocysteine, the amount of glyoxylic acid, and some of them now have come in with no glyoxylic acid. So this evolution has been tremendous.
Right.
Because at every level, something comes in, like you said, it goes all over the market.
Yes.
And then you look at the overall safety profile, and then there is an industry follow through. Now what I'm seeing is completely glyoxylic acid free products also.
Yes.
I haven't done much for almost like a year and a half, but I'd be curious to know what's next, because this whole evolution has kind of, in a good way, gone towards safety, gone towards wider acceptance.
Yes.
But again, we do not know the full picture, because all of this at this point also relies on something called cumulative damage, cumulative impact. For the hair, I think it's done much better.
Yeah.
In terms of these products and procedures have made people feel more comfortable about the hair. I usually say, if you have to blow dry multiple times and weaken the hair, I'd rather you do one of these procedures once a year and not mess with the hair.
Yeah.
Because when people are having hair fall,
Yeah.
a lot of heat applied to the hair can actually worsen hair fall.
Absolutely.
So then that's something that we're seeing. Earlier, people used to come in and say, post these treatments, I see increased hair fall. Now, some of them actually come in and say, I'm not handling my hair so much, so I feel much better. So we don't have complete data, but I think that I wouldn't at this point think about good, bad, ugly. I would at this point think about what works for certain people and how we understand what doesn't work for other people.
Right.
So tell me about your R&D process that decides that you will do something at Vurve or not do something at Vurve.
I just do a few things which I feel are ethical, or which are important. So one of the things with all these brands like Keratin, there are a lot of people who just come and say, please use my brand and things like that. But some things that really connected to me with respect to the latest brand that I'm using was they were they were Indian, they're Indian siblings and boys from India who did a lot of research. So the glyoxylic acid which you're saying, they were getting it from sugar cane, and that was they're getting it from the plant. Now I don't know if because it's a chemical, is it from a plant, what are the pluses and minuses to it?
The amount matters. Some of them can have very high levels. So now the guideline is that you control the amount of glyoxylic acid. So then even you see carbocysteine, it gets activated by glyoxylic acid.
Right.
So then that is a problem if they are using very heavy levels. So in that ingredient list, if it's higher up there is a problem. But there are a bunch of companies that have come out, especially after the recent issues related to renal toxicity. It's largely an unregulated market in a number of countries in the world.
It is.
For example, you could be offering it after so many checks and balances, and then even getting assurances as to how much ingredient is there. But in the I'm talking about
it's a gray area.
It's a very gray area, and if you look at certain, I've seen thioglycolate 100%. I've seen undiluted thioglycolate being used for hair perming when I was in Africa.
Right.
I've seen it in other cultures. I've seen it in different ways. I've seen it in our own, like you said, the local tier 2, tier 3 cities where people they do not have access to a lot of good verified places. Then people tend to use just the crystals and then shake it up and then use it. So then it is not uncommon. We do see problems in terms of not so much any systemic problem so far, but we do see people with hair breakage, hair fried. You could actually just break it just like that. So we've seen this side.
Yes.
So in that way, I feel like knowing the ingredients, or like for you in particular, I'm told that you go after a lot of data.
I do go after a lot of data. I look at globally, what's happening in the similar hair industry. I look at who's using it in India. Give me names. I even sometimes also make calls and do check and get recommendations. Should we go ahead with this? And because it was something new, I personally tried it on myself. I liked the concept of where they came from with respect to, making sure that like I said, it was sugar cane that they used. I smelt and felt the product. I said, I am going to try it, and if nothing happened, because that time my hair was fried. I had blonde hair from all the blue and pink. So I said, if my hair breaks, it should happen to me. Let's see how good your product is to my hair, and then we'll take a call for the brand. And from the ingredients point of view, from keratin to Botox, obviously, what was the composition and how did it feel in this? It was way better. Yes. So I could feel, if I can only talk from how I felt from the outer side of it. When I waited 6-7 months after 60 washes, that's when, and I wanted to see what was my hair fall like, did my hair break, because I had blonde hair, and I felt quite satisfied with what I wanted to do. So I do a lot of things that I try on myself, because I don't want to give it, and I do have, we try a lot, but 8-10 people before we even start. It's a demo is very important for for us. So we don't go with a lot of people. I am very clear that I stick with one. I give a lot of ideas to them on enhancing their ingredients or the quality of what they are going to put in. That's where the blue Botox also was evolved.
The newest one that's coming.
Yes, it's blue Botox. It's blue in color. It's gel based, so it kind of goes in deeper, and it's quite mild and soft on the hair. I did not personally see any hair fall. And we are doing it at the salon for the last, Botox has been there for the last 5 years.
So far, how many treatments have you done in your journey? Like straightening, smoothening, keratin, cysteine, Botox, Botoplex, everything, Botolis, Botoplex, everything. So how many treatments have you offered?
If I were to just do a math, maybe right now we do about 400 to 500 a month. And there was a time with lesser salons, we did 700 a month. So if you want to do the math, more than 10,000 in my experience, more than 10, 12,000 chemical treatments on keratin. Smoothening and perming are very, it's dribbling down, it's going to the single digits. So in all my experience so far, I've touch wood, not had anyone come to me with anything that there's some aggravation or some reaction so far. People was there sensitivity that was person specific, maybe, like for example, I have psoriasis, so it does have a sensitive, there is a little bit of sensitivity that can be there, like a little itch and so on. But other than that, I did not face anyone coming in with anything drastic. Thing is to be with regulated brands, people who have the backgrounds have been checked, what is their R&D looking like, where are their scientists, where are they working at. We constantly are in touch. We have, if there's anything that we want to even ask as a doubt, they are always available. They have a team ready to answer everything. So far, being with a regulated group or a brand for all these kind of services, and like keratin and Botox, is very important.
Just to complete and finish on the evolution of these treatments, yes. What is this nanoplastia?
Honestly, I am actually going to trial it only in next week. Yes, so I did see, and I thought personally it was just another version of Botox. So I took my time and said, you know what, let's wait and see. But right now I'm seeing some change, and I see a lot of customers also asking, do you do nanoplasty? So we were literally saying it is Botox. But now I've just done a little bit of my research, and I've approached the brands who are bringing in this, where it is not only repairing. What Botox does is repair the hair, but it's also giving it a slight smoothened look. Again, so I asked them, are they using the thioglycolate to break the bonds?
Or
is
it formaldehyde?
Or is it formaldehyde to break the bonds? Because that finishing was so good. I was like, are you actually breaking the bonds? So they said, as per what they say, they are not breaking any bonds. They've not used they're not permanently or even they're just working on the internal cortex, which is completely damaged or opened up, and
especially for treated hair,
yes.
And hair that's already undergone multiple
yes.
sessions.
And also because the name nano or tano, because it's the particles
Tano.
are there's tannino. There's a brand called Tanninoplasty, I think, and then there's nanoplasty. Then there's multiple names. I think the product per se is very, very, very minute, which allows the penetration, deeper penetration to the deeper parts of the cortex, and that kind of helps in the reforming or giving it that more relaxed, shinier look.
I think this whole segment, cosmetic chemistry especially, has evolved across all fields. Now
yes.
We have, even in the beauty and personal care and every other industry, where there has been traditionally oil and water emulsion or water and oil emulsion. Now it's been a huge revolution in terms of how far people have taken
Absolutely.
These materials
yes.
to. It's just the material science that has percolated into everything.
Yes.
And for hair, any improvement in terms of the long-term impact of the materials that we use, or any improvement in terms of the procedures or treatments, is going to give compounding results.
Yes.
Because it's something that people deeply identify with. I always say hair is like the appendix. The body doesn't really need it. Maybe once upon a time when we were in the Stone Age and head injury was the most common way that people went out, maybe back then it was very important that the hair was a shock absorber.
Right.
But right now, it probably is like the third molar. It's evolutionarily going to not be relevant anymore.
Yeah.
And in that case, all of us as a population may end up with much lesser hair, than what our ancestors had. So
Possibly.
therefore, everything that we do for the hair is purely from a signaling point of view, saying that A, we have good hair, which means that our hormones are in the right place.
Right.
B, we have good hair, which means that we are younger for longer. C, we have good hair, which means that we can afford to take care of our hair.
Right.
These are all the signaling aspects that go out, because hair in itself for the body, like it could be temperature control, but now we have air conditioning, we have a bunch of we have clothing.
Yes.
Human beings pretty much have every other thing that can fix whatever the hair originally was meant to be there for.
Yes.
So I think it's a very intentional activity to take care of the hair, and therefore the evolution in the industry, I think another 10 years we'll see much more cleaner products is my hope.
100%. I see a lot of most of the brands we are working with, they come in with presentations. Everything is talking about cleaner products. They have some certifications called B certifications, and where they need to, it's very difficult to get through to these, and they are all working towards that, whether it's sustainability, whether it's cleaner products, whether where are they getting it made. So it's amazing to see the kind of evolution that these brands, and especially the bigger chains, that are bigger brands that are working towards and striving towards better, cleaner set and range of products. So hopefully, like you said about taking care and how the hair was helping, I would say there's another version where the hair makes or breaks your confidence also. So but more than taking care, right now everybody is you know either reaching it or contouring it with a haircut, because they know that it's actually giving them a different outlook to the way they look.
It's one of the best pick-me-ups. If you are upset or if you are a little low, then go get a haircut and you feel so good about yourself.
Yes,
I think
it's therapy.
It's a very important part of how we identify with ourselves, how we see ourselves, and also because we feel that, you know, like I said, it's a very big signal of youth.
Yes.
It's a very big signal of health, not just to others, but also to ourselves. And therefore, the confidence completely is
boosted up.
It's a different thing altogether for people to have hair regrowth.
Yes.
That's why it's a big
and deal. You'll be surprised, the male community is in love with their hair right now, and it's a good market to also see them take care of their hair, and you know whether it comes to texture and what products to be used.
So it is one thing that men take care of better. Skincare doesn't even come close.
Oh, is it?
Of course.
Maybe in 10 years they will.
No, it's improved.
It's improving. It's going to evolve. Yes.
It's people are basically interested in holistic wellness. So that's why we see an increase in fitness. That's why we see people being more mindful about eating better, sleeping better. I think it's percolating into both genders. But it's also happening at a younger age where people are willing to take care of themselves better so that they can stay younger for longer.
That's true. Yeah.
And healthier for longer. I'm going to completely take diversion.
Okay.
I'm going to completely take a diversion.
Surprise me.
And go to curly girl method. Spill it.
Oh God. Right. So yeah, because I did all these treatments over years, over 15 years, 16 years, I tried everything. And yes, there was obviously wear and tear. You know, I cannot deny it. And, you know, if you ask me, keratin, smoothing, I would suggest, you know, maybe maximum once a year, once in 8 months. Don't go beyond that.
In alignment.
Yes. Yeah. So when I started seeing that, and I did see a slight shift in seeing a lot of curly girls, you know, this was in 2018, 19. I damaged my hair with all the blonde. So I thought, let's see what this is all about. I wanted to see what my original texture has been 20 years. So imagine trying to see what it really looked. So I started reading, and there was this amazing lady from Pune, Asha Parekh, I think her name is. She runs a brand called Ashba. So she had this whole training module on curly hair, and I was like, what is this? I mean, I had no clue. I mean, you know, it was a different segment. Being a salon owner, you know, I had no clue. There was this whole religious cult following for curly hair, and what it did, and what was the porosity of the hair, and what was, whether the protein was good, whether and so it was a real...
When it hit.
And it took me days. I kept reading and reading and reading. I said, okay, let's see what this... And there was a whole movement all over the world for embracing your own texture. So while we're looking at clean products, a lot of people going back to also embracing what they possibly have. It is still a small segment. So curly girl method, or that's what they called it. It was a whole movement where girls wanted to go back to keeping their natural texture. So if you look at it, the curl pattern is It
Tell us
starts.
more about the patterns.
So again, this is my reading, and of course maybe a little bit of time spent. So when I saw my hair, it looked, it didn't have any pattern. It looked like it's going to fall. So because that was the blonde, and that's what it did. So I didn't know what my pattern was. I thought it's divided into 1A, 1B, where 1A will probably be like this, and then 1B will be a little more curved. So it goes up to 3A, 3B, 4A, 4B. Africans are in the 3 and 4.
Wow.
Yes, that's where the curl,
It's almost coiled. It
the more
completely
coiled
coils.
it is, the number increases, and A, B, C is also even more on the, giving you an even more intense coil. So that was one thing, to understand your curl patterns and what products to use, and they harp so much on the gentle sulfate free shampoos, conditioners, and the thing is, there's also so much to spend. So while you are saying going back to your curly girl method where you don't want to do this, you're also spending a lot of money on the products that possibly give you a definition to your curls.
I think the proportion of so I think the level of definition that can be brought in is proportionate to certain concentrations of ingredients in certain products.
Yes.
That's why there are these high definition products which are quite different. We're working on a frizz control product, which we basically say it may not change anything much, but it just gives you lesser frizz. It just tames it at that point.
Right.
But then when you want to go high definition,
yes,
it has to have a certain hold
yes,
to it, which means that those are not just stuff to tame down the frizz, but they're also stuff that actually gives a reflectance in a particular way.
Yes.
It's quite fascinating.
Yes. So from all the processes that I saw, I think there's 4 things that I would suggest for anyone who wants to go into their to embrace their textures. One is a sulfate-free shampoo, and then 2 is definitely a conditioner pertaining to that, or a mask, and the third is a nice leave-on conditioner or a cream based conditioner, which will help you to kind of lock the moisture into the hair. So that's when the curl will be created. And the final product is the gel, which kind of creates a cast to this curl that's formed, and that will hold the curl and give you this a little bit more. I don't know if mine is defined, but yeah, a little more definition to your curl. And combs, somebody had actually, I'm just going to say, combs, you have to avoid the comb and the brush completely.
This is blasphemy.
No combs. And maybe only when you finish your hair wash, you use a wet brush or a tangle teaser to remove the kind of the knots that could have been created through the whole process. And the hair should be, the conditioner should be applied wet. You need to use your fingers as your comb bristles to give it that, and then the hair starts clumping. And when it clumps, it creates its natural definition. While it's wet, hold it with the product. Don't change anything to the texture. The drying is the tough part, Then you let it dry for about 4 or 5 hours, and then voila.
I always call this like there are in consultation rooms there are questions about but I don't like my curly hair, or it becomes frizzy. I always say that sometimes they've come in, they have not realized how gorgeous the curly hair is, how gorgeous they look, the curls are. Most of the times people try to break it down into a pattern where it can be held down.
Right.
Probably a remnant of the military training or the alignment that we get in schools, where you have to plait it, double plait it, break the curl over and over until it is a hair no more. I really feel bad about how our schools are still doing that. I actually started a petition a couple of years ago.
Is it?
And now I just given up and just cut my child's hair very short.
Right, right.
But what I tell them is that right after you take a bath and come out, it's in the form of noodles.
Yes.
Do not break the noodles.
Do not break the noodles.
There's a story that we have, or a fable that we have read in childhood, where you have, you can break one stick, but you can't break a bunch of sticks. Right? Curls are very similar. They have this sense and anti-sense curls.
Yeah.
The coils, the direction.
Yeah.
And when you try to break, and then if you comb them out and then you try to put them in a particular pattern, they get that much more damaged.
Yeah.
You must let the noodles be.
Yes. So that's why you use your fingers. I have not used a comb. If you use a comb, well, the thing, one of the things, especially in India, is you've got to comb your hair every day, remove all the knots, which is what we've been taught.
Yes.
But what happens to curly hair is when the moment you use a comb on dry hair, it breaks, it opens up. So you will talk from a safety point of view. I will talk from a visual point of view. So it opens up your frizz, and then your curl is gone, and your hair just looks frizzy. Then you're worried, like your hair doesn't look good. But if you had not combed it dry and you just allowed it to air dry also, even without product, you will still maintain that curl texture a little bit. But a little bit of conditioner, trust me, you will get a beautiful outlook to the curls.
It's probably the only time when I'm okay with the rinse off conditioner. Other times I'm like, I'm a leave-in conditioner person, because rinse off makes, in our humidity, it makes the hair, it keeps the hair open for that much, it keeps the cuticle open for that much longer because of the humidity.
Okay.
And the longer you keep the hair wet, the more fragile the hair strands get. So curly girls and that curl conditioner that they use to rinse off, that's about the only time I'm saying, like, okay, you can use, but if you get a better leave-in conditioner, just go for it.
Right. Yeah, there's a lot of curly products right now in the market.
Yeah.
It's so we see the movement growing.
Yeah.
Some of them get a little
No, it can get
a little overboard on the
yes,
rules and regulations. But I think to each their own.
Yes.
So I have a whole array. One day I'll try this, one day I'll try something else. One day I'll try the other coil. With a comb, you can actually coil the hair in a different way.
Now you've got Instagram full of, I was just looking it up for our conversation today, and now my feed is full of
curly hair.
And it's like, I don't even have curly hair. Don't make me feel worse than I am.
Yes. So so more and more people right now, and I'm seeing that, although we say we're talking about keratin, I am seeing a downward
a welcome trend.
Yes, a welcome trend.
Accepting their texture.
Yes.
It's no longer called frizz control. It's no longer called straightening, smoothing. Everybody wants to know how to manage their texture. Tell me more about.
So over the last 2 years, while we have these other services, because we need to service and cater to clients who also want the frizz-free look, I am seeing a movement with my hairdressers also. They are going towards even advising clients how to maintain your curls, and in fact, I see them not even offering the frizz-free service anymore. So I'm seeing a lot more on nourishment care. I'm seeing an increase in the hair spa business, because more and more people are embracing texture. They are like, I don't want to go through this again. I want to see how I really look. So that, like I said, it's 25 years now. People are going, and it's going to go on. There's more and more people going to go towards their normal texture, and I think we are going to go back to the 80s with all those big volume hairs, probably
afros.
I don't know.
Maybe. I don't know if hair kind of lends itself to that.
But the disco times when these voluminous hair was a big thing.
Yes.
But there is a big movement towards and migration back to texture.
Yes.
So we are also, for the last 2 years, we've been embracing and we've been training and reskilling my teams on how to cut curly hair, how to treat curly hair, what do we do, and everything with regards to that. So when customers are coming, we are also educating them. Why not? You don't need to have this. You're doing a nice color. We'll teach you what to do. So there is a it feels good.
I do my best to sell them that if you have curly hair, you're so blessed. Don't touch it. Don't mess with it.
Yeah.
And sometimes, like I said, the grass is always greener on the other
side.
And I've recently grown to like my wavy, I don't know what it is. It's somewhere in between.
But
the most common type of hair that is there in this part of the world. And it's been about a year and a half. And I think I'll strike it out for a little longer.
No, it looks, you've got natural movement, it's taken shape.
Frizz control serum, and I have done some heat styling. So of course.
Yeah, but still the hair looks healthy.
It's an easy route out at this point in time. We have a question on whether these treatments like straightening, smoothing, etc. can be done in pregnancy. What are your thoughts?
Well, this question, is quite debatable. So while the brands have already, they are claiming that, you can do it on pregnant women, especially the Botox and the newer ones. Vurve as per se, we don't suggest, and we tell the customer to please be patient and wait till you deliver. And in fact, even if they are feeding also, we are a little particular about not doing these services.
My thoughts are the same. In fact, there are certain studies which say that at least for a few months before, so the pregnancy plan itself. So I actually ask people, so if you're planning a pregnancy, finish all of this up.
Right.
And then you plan, so that particular period, typically 3 to 4 months, even before they're planning, there's always a period or a phase wherein you need to do as less treatments as possible. And an absolute no in pregnancy. No trimester is safe. Absolute no in pregnancy. And even well up until the lactation period, because you're going to be exposing the baby who does not have a well-defined barrier. So then you really do not want to expose the kid. So absolutely no. But I know that moms also go through a lot of insecurity during this phase. Especially people who color, who have always colored. I know it's a tough call, but then because it's a once in a lifetime, at least, or once or twice in a lifetime event, I say like strictly stay away for the health of your baby.
Right. From a coloring point of view, I don't think we don't stop anything. We do color, but of course we, with a lot of people are doing your highlights, so they are doing it from this level. But the color, we continue. I'm being very honest with you. But the smoothing, straightening, keratin, these are things that we don't do.
Yeah, I generally say no.
Yes, you have to say that. That's it is a must.
Because I just know that post color also, people are in a heightened sense of pigmentation during pregnancy. There's a heightened tendency to pigmentation during pregnancy.
Right.
And for some, that color can be the trigger. So then I just feel like maybe not this time, but they can wait and do it later.
Thanks for that insight, Doc. Let me go and do my R&D on this as well.
Of course.
Yes, thank you.
So now there's a popular question on hair care post gym.
Right.
People who work out almost religiously every day.
Yes.
And then they have treated hair. What is your advice to them?
So people who have treated their hair and they go to the gym, we have swimmers. Two things for people who swim and who are regular swimmers, we clearly tell them that the keratin will wash away because chlorine in the swimming pool. For people who go to the gym, some things that we suggest. One is, please regularly wash your hair at least 2 to 3 times a week. You cannot keep your hair from being unwashed for a week. I still see in India and especially in South, it's just once a week. One time they'll oil and they will wash their hair. But if you are going to the gym, if you've treated your hair and if you don't want the keratin to wash away that often, I would say every alternate wash, take a little bit of shampoo and only massage your scalp so that you don't use the shampoo on the hair, and then the mid-lengths to the ends you can use the conditioner after you rinse off the wash. Again, very little, and please dry your hair post that.
Yeah, you mean a blow dryer?
Just use a dryer and
not air dry, but then use a tool.
Use a dryer to dry your hair. Yes.
We have both sides. Sometimes when the humidity is very high, you can have stickiness of the hair when you don't really use shampoo.
Right.
So in those cases, I say please make sure that you shampoo the hair, but then follow through with the leave-in serum. But the problem also is that repeated washing will reduce the effect of the treatment that you have done. It's a trade-off.
Yes.
If it's a very humid, highly polluted place, especially towards the winter months, as the pollution starts building up, then it may make sense to wash.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's something that people have to play by ear and take it forward.
Yes, of course. Yes.
We've all known about the technical side of you in this conversation. Tell us about your personal side.
Well, personally,
where are you from and where are you going?
Okay. With the business of Vurve, we are a family of 3 running this business. It's my husband, my brother and myself. We are all from the corporate world. I'm an engineer by qualification, and so was my brother. And Manoj is from a management graduate, worked in Accentures and the iGates of the world. And we decided to get into business. And it was just, so what we did is we brought in what the corporate kind of culture that we came from, and we tried to do something in our own way. Didn't realize that it would be evolving into this. What started small, just saying, I wanted to stay at home, I don't want to work in a corporate, turned out to be like we're literally building a small little corporate space here. Yes. So it's been 10 years of Vurve, and
congratulations.
Thank you. And I should say, thanks to even the customers. They've been so loving. They've given so much love to the brand. My team, they've all been there with us, of course, and been there, stood by us. It's been great.
Tell us about COVID.
COVID, yeah, one of the most the toughest times of our lives, because it brought us back to basic, back to zero, both financially, both mentally, emotionally, and yeah, it changed everything, I think, for a lot of people. There were pluses and minuses, but I would always look at the positives that came out of it. We take life for granted. We don't even acknowledge and have gratitude to the way life is and what we had materially or what materialistically. But then this was completely took us off tangent. Some of the things that possibly we learned from this whole exercise was how to survive and how to live with less and still, put food on the table. And from a strategy point of view, completely my eyes and my brain just opened up. That time away from everything, you put a lot of things into perspective, what to do next, how do, there are 200 people working for you, what do we do for them, people's lives. And from a financial point of view, it kind of changed a lot of things. But strategically, I think I've never been better. I think it's been, I've been shooting for the stars, and I feel like the growth that we had post-COVID, I didn't see that in the first decade of my career. So I'd say a lot has changed. A lot has changed.
I think it was a double-edged sword in terms of what it brought to people in terms of suffering, but at the same time it also made us so much more resilient. Whatever world order we had known up until then was no more. We had to reinvent ourselves. We have to think. That's when I think we thought for now and we thought for the future, because now you're also balancing a certain amount of uncertainty. I always used to think it's so difficult to have people do DIY. In 2020 January, I had written for a magazine saying, like, the future will be the era of DIY, but it will be a very slow transition.
Yeah.
I had no idea what made me think that way and write that way. In March 2020, when we shut down,
yes,
DIY was the only thing that saw us through in terms of how do we keep our community around us and how do we continue to build even when the odds are stacked against us.
Yes.
What are your 2 or 3 lessons for people that are still figuring themselves out in their journey, especially in the face of setbacks? What are your 2, 3 lessons for people? Or it could be some habits that you do, some ways that you get back to the fight. What is it that?
I would say don't forget your roots. Through this whole journey of whatever we are learning, we tend to forget where we came from, and whether it is moving from one strata of life to the other, I think we shouldn't forget where we come from. I'd say still continue to be humble. That's what I would say, because again, as we are all, even our kids and everyone's life is only getting better. Even though COVID had a setback, I think people should not take life for granted. I think we're going to see more of these setbacks over the next, is what I feel.
I think there has to be a certain level of comfort living with uncertainty.
Yes.
And then still trying to reinvent yourself.
Yes.
So we were talking about evolution post-COVID. What is it that keeps you going? Where do you see Vurve going? Why Vurve?
Oh, long story. Are you sure?
Yeah.
So the actual meaning and the actual spelling of Vurve is Verve, which means zest, passion, zeal, vigor. So it related at kind of, for us as a group, it kind of related to our personalities, the way we were in life, and we didn't want to name it after us or give it that hairdressing salon kind of a name. So we thought, let's kind of give it a touch where it represented and reflected on our personality. So unfortunately, the word Vurve with that spelling was taken up. So we went with the phonetics, and phonetically it is Vurv. It didn't look right, so we added the E at the end. So yeah, but that was what it is. It was something to just reflect on us. We are a very boutique, artistic kind of a brand, where we still want to give out those good cuts and good colors and be ethical about what we're doing. So I would say maybe when I retire, maybe 50 salons. That's another 20 years to go. So maybe 2 to 3 a year, hopefully. So yeah, if all goes well.
Yes, all will go well.
Thank you, Renita. Doc, I had a great time. Thank you for making me feel comfortable. And but I hope this session, gives us all what you need. And thanks again for a fantastic session.
It's a very less debated It's a very less explored topic, so I'm sure people are going to love it. I've been having questions in this in my Q&A for like few weeks now, and I thought I'll formally answer most of the questions.
I hope I did justice.
Yes, you
Thanks
did.
again. Thanks a lot. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for joining me here on this podcast. We are so glad that we've got to discuss a wide range of topics. Thank you for coming.